Hi, welcome to the Online Jewelry Academy. I'm Professor John Ahr and I'm your instructor. Today I'm going to talk to you about shell forming. Now, shell forming is a great way to work with sheet metal in order to create dimensional shapes that have kind of an organic feel to them. So let me show you what we're going to work with. We're basically going to work with this type of shape. It's sort of a long petal with pointed ends. From this shape, we can create a wide variety of pieces. And if you combine techniques, you can make something as interesting as this. Here's some earring drops that are copper on one side and a beautiful radiant orchid in the inside. So this is a fashion color for today's fashion trends combined with your jewelry work. Now, you can alter the shape and make something a little bit more different. So here I've made like a little hairpin or hair stick pin that you could use. Or you could combine the shapes like I have here with a large piece with a smaller one inside. Or you can actually use the fun nature of the material when it wants to kind of torque and shift. You can play with it and make something that's really different like this. Now this could serve as maybe a bead in a fancy organic form necklace. Now, let me show you what the process is on paper first. What we're going to do is we're going to take that petal shape and using a hammer, we're going to strike down the center of the shape first. Now, every successive blow of the hammer will be on alternating sides, not each blow one on either side, but what you'll do first is go along this side first, and then you'll shift to the other side of center and hit on this side. And you just repeat the blows until you've worked all the way to the outer edges. So what's going to happen is the shape in a cross section is going to first fold in the middle and then round and turn like a piece of tubing until you finally can shut it down if you want. Now, you don't have to shut these down. You can see I left some of the shapes open, and this is great for capturing other materials. So like if you've got yarns and other colorful things, you can capture them inside. Okay, let me show you the tools. Most important tool, safety, your eye protection. You only have 2 pairs of eyes. A few dollars to protect your eyes is well worth it. Okay, we know that we're going to need a permanent marking pen. And we're going to use this pen on 22 gauge sheet metal. Now, I like a dark pen so I can see contrast. In addition to this, you're going to need a wood chisel and some type of work hammer to hit the chisel. You don't want to use your fancy polished jewelry hammers on that. You're going to need a pair of shears to cut the shape out of the copper sheet. And you're going to need a Cross-Peen Hammer to work the metal. Remember, the Cross-Peen Hammer is the one that has the straight end on the back. In addition to this, you may need either a benchtop anvil or a bench block. And the tool that we're going to be creating is made from a block of wood using your bench vise. Okay, so let me clear some of this away, and I'm going to show you how to make the tool using the chisel. Give me 1 sec. Okay, I've cleared the top of the bench and I've secured our block of wood into the bench vise. In order to make the tool, we're going to work with the hammer and the wood chisel. Now I've got a straight chisel here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it kind of on its edge like this. And all I want to do is just tap it along the grain of the wood. Don't go across the grain. So you're just going to make a really light cut into the wood. Okay, we've done the hard part. Now, once that cut's made, all you have to do is take the chisel and then just glide it along that cut in order to widen the groove. Now, if you do need a little bit more muscle, you can pick the hammer back up, but it should be easy enough to just use your hand and just start to shave open a nice groove into the piece of wood. Okay. I think you get the idea. Let me show you one that I've already finished. You can see that I've made 2 channels following the grain of the wood. I cut it across the grain up here so you could see what not to do. And you could see that there's already a loss of wood in the tool because it lifts up when you cut against the grain. Okay, let me put this one in the vise and I'll show you how the process works. It's really easy. So I have the tool in the vise. Now what I need to bring back are my bench block, one of my hammers, and my copper sheet. So let me show you on the copper sheet what you're going to do. You're going to take your pen and using whatever you have available, it could be the edge of your chisel, for example, you just want a straight line. Good enough. And then from that straight line, what you're going to do is you're going to draw a small arc from end to end of the line. Then turn it around and try to match that arc exactly going the other way. Now, you wouldn't draw in the middle of the piece of copper like I just did. You want to be a little bit more judicious with your materials. So cut strips that are the right size and just cut away a minimal amount of material. So I've prepped this already too, and I've created a wide variety of widths and lengths of this type of form. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these pieces, which by the way has been fully annealed and cleaned, and we're going to place it on top of the tool. So from point to point, I'm going to have it with the points over the trough that I cut with the chisel. Then I'll take the Cross-Peen Hammer, and what I want to do is I want this hammer to strike a gentle blow starting from the middle, working out to one end. Okay, there's one side. I could turn it around, and then I'm going to repeat that process. There. So we have our initial bend down the center of the piece of copper. I'll flip it over so you can see what's happened. So it's basically just lifted up a little bit. It's beginning to look a little bit more like a leaf. Okay, now to really make this dimensional and almost tube-like, what we'll do is we'll slightly angle the area that I just hit with the hammer and push it up one side of this trough, and then put the area right next to it over the trough and go back and hit along that area. Now I'll turn it around and do it on the other side. So I've only hit this piece in 3 successive rows so far, and you can see already it has quite a bit of dimension to it. Right now, this could be a very interesting element for a piece of jewelry all on its own, but let's keep going. So we're going to hammer it out a little bit closer to the edge this time. Turn it around. And now it's actually like a little boat. Okay, now if we want to get it to come up and over, what we want to do is basically hit back along the center line again, just to compress it a little bit more. And what that does is that makes the piece drop into the trough so that the trough does some of the work for us, making the walls come up. So now it's a little bit closer to being closed. Okay, to close this, we're now going to move to the bench block. And what you want to do is start to put the piece on its edge and hit the opposite edge. So hit on the outside. Take extra care when you get near the point. Turn it over, do the other side. and you can start to see where this is really beginning to shut down. If I do it a few more times, I'll get it to close completely. So let's keep going. So I'm just lightly hitting on the outside. I always say if you could hit a baby on the head with your hammer, you would hit your piece of metal as lightly as that. So I'm not really hitting very hard at all. Okay, you can see right now where it's really beginning to close up. At this point, I want to lay the piece on its back and hit the top edges. And if you give it a little bit of a roll, there. I've closed one end of our form while leaving the other open. Now, going back to the materials that I showed you earlier in the video, you can see that the shape that I just made corresponds with this large shape beautifully. They both have one closed end and one open end. And here you can see what it might look on the back side. Now, this same technique, using the block of wood, your hammer, and your bench block, you can create all of these shapes and forms. I hope you have a lot of fun with this project. Check out our other products and videos on the onlinejewelryacademy.com. Thanks for watching.